To defeat an enemy, you must know them. Not just their battle tactics, but their history, philosophy, art. Welcome to the Chiss Ascendancy podcast.
Alrighty then. Hello everyone, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to...
The Chiss Ascendancy.
This is a first. This is not an episode. I mean, it is an episode, but it's a bonus. Tonight, what time is it? What day is this?
We should treat this episode kind of like the Solo film or the Rogue One. We're not going to count it. And the counting.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. This won't count as a saga episode. So we've reached out to friends and family listeners, and I don't know, it feels weird saying the word fans, but those who subscribe to our podcast, and I even put a poll out there and all that kind of crud, and overwhelmingly people said they want to hear our thoughts on the Mandalorian episode week by week. But we knew that it was kind of cheap and cheesy to just do that for every week's episode.
And I would kind of get tired of talking about just that.
Right. Well, one, it ties us up not to talk about anything else.
Right.
And also, what if someone, what if you are that person that doesn't want to watch The Mandalorian until the whole season's over or whatever? Mm-hmm. Now you're logged off from the podcast for the next 8 weeks. This is our first bonus episode. So I guess if we end up putting these in a series or whatever on YouTube, it'll be episode 41 and then bonus episode. You see what I'm saying? Because episode 1 was a review of the premiere episode of season 2. But we're going to jump right into it. So right now, tonight, we're reviewing the 10th chapter of The Mandalorian. I do like that they're keeping the sequence going from season 1, chapter 8, 9, 10. And this one is called The Passanger.
Wonder how it got that name.
I don't know. Maybe because there's passengers involved.
Yeah.
Very cool. So we've got a little bit of, I guess we'll kind of give you guys a heads up for, we want to keep this not super duper long. I know a typical episode is about an hour or so. We want to keep it to about 30 minutes. And so if you're a fan of the longer podcast, I apologize. You could just repeat it, I guess, and then we could get more views. But the format we want to do is we're going to give our overall thoughts and kind of walk through the episode and what we thought about it. And then we'll go to our second segment is called Standout Moment. And that's the moment that, stuck out to either of us that really, for instance, episode 41 of our podcast, chapter 9 of The Mandalorian, standout moment for me. Oh my God, there's like 5 of them. But the Boba Fett moment, that's the standout moment for me. Secondly, new or returning characters that stood out to us that were cool. And then rating the episode 1 through 10. And then the final and 5th segment is what's next? Or, where do we think the story's going from here? So buckle up, and here we go. So right off the bat, what are your thoughts on The Passanger?
Yeah. So my overall thoughts are going to be a little bit redundant from we recorded episode 42 this afternoon.
Yeah.
And I kind of share my thoughts a little bit before we decided to do this concretely. But it was not my least favorite, but not my most favorite episode so far.
Right.
Like I said earlier, we had just finished the episode, and I was like, that feel kind of fillery to you?
Yeah.
It definitely...
We're hesitant to say the word filler because it's not like it won't mean anything.
Right. I mean, there's certainly aspects of it that will progress the story, and I think a lot of episode 3 is going to build off of it, and we won't talk about that too much right now, but I enjoyed it. I mean, it's Mando. I always enjoy it. It was cool to see where some of the stuff that we got in the trailer came from. As soon as we entered Atmo, I was like, oh, this is where the Razor crashes.
Yeah.
And that was very evident to me. I think it was smart that they used so much footage from this particular episode in the trailer because it really divulges nothing about the story itself.
Yeah, I think that the almost the entire trailer will be from the first 3 or 4 episodes, and that means that we'll get 4 or 5 episodes of everything's off the
slate,
wall,
yeah.
which is really, really cool, which is kind of, in the moment, I want the trailer to reveal everything. And the moment that's gone, I'm like, okay, thank God it didn't reveal everything, because I do want to be surprised with the show itself. My overall thoughts, I enjoyed it. It always weirds me out a little bit when there are characters that look a lot like
Earth species. Yeah.
So if you look up on the cast, the lady that he's helping transport, her name is Frog Lady.
That's all her name is?
That's the name of the character.
Oh my God. I was curious. I was like, because I didn't know what to call her. So I was like, the one that hops.
Yeah.
You know?
Boy, was she hopping too.
Yeah, dude, she was taking off.
She was booking it.
It reminded me of, cartoons. Dogs usually walk on two legs, but when it's like the crap hits the fan, like Brian from Family Guy, when he's like barking at a car, you see him like actually get down on all fours, or...
Yeah, it is funny whenever it's like he just randomly does dog stuff.
Yeah.
He's like drinking at the bar, sitting up, talking to women and stuff, and then you could like walk up and you like scratch behind his ear and his leg would just start going. Yeah, so overall thoughts, I liked it. I do think that there are moments from season 1 that I was like, so where are we going with this? Tatooine episode felt like that. What the heck is going on with this? What, who cares about Fennec Shand? I mean, I guess he needs money, like... What's up with that? Who's this Anakin Skywalker Han Solo character? And for me, I loved the episode. That's a lot of people's least favorite episode, but I really, really loved it because, one, back on Tatooine, Sand People, of course. You guys know how much I love them.
What's funny is that this episode, to me, felt more like the episode, the Prison Break. Which episode was that?
6.
6. And it's funny because this episode revisited that episode so much. You know what I mean? They had the second ever interaction with the New Republic.
Right.
Dave Filoni was there again. And
you have the droid Zero.
Yeah,
that had been decommissioned.
His rise and fall of that episode was this episode. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It was pretty good. I liked, so you start off and he's riding back to town and he gets ambushed. And man, I'll tell you one thing. The child is durable as freak. As a dad, I have a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old, and if I was riding a motorcycle and somebody put a rope in front of me at 70 miles an hour, however fast he was going through that canyon, and one of my sons fell off, I don't think they'd just stand up and go, like.
Well, he is 50 years old.
Yeah, even more so. You've met our dad. Fragile.
Dad's getting up there in years.
Yeah.
I've seen some durable 50-year-olds.
Yeah. But, I mean, they were going like God knows how fast.
They were going pretty fast.
Destroyed the speeder. The child was fine.
I thought it was cool that, he kind of jetpacked down to a
that was very
landing. Cool. I also like to see the hard side of the Mandalorian again a little bit when he double-crossed what I suspect to be like a Jawa. He sounded like a Jawa.
Sounded like a Jawa or Ewok mix.
So
also kind of sounded like, what it might have been is if you in The Force Awakens, somewhere on Jakku, there's a character that looks a lot like that and kind of sounds like that a little bit. Not Tebow, maybe the other character. Anyways, there's a character that has like shorter stature and has kind of like those goggles. And
Tebow, I believe, is actually one of the Ewoks.
Oh, T-Do is the Jakku. Tebow is the
dark
Jawa.
furred one.
Yeah, with a cool hat. And then, so I liked it. I definitely feel like, for instance, episode 5 of last season, a lot of people felt like was filler. But then at the end, you hear the Spurs. A lot of people believe, and I believe that's Boba Fett. You have the moment where he talks to the Tuskens and he earns their trust and he trades with them, and that was
what's funny is
super
that
sequential.
We didn't see any part of the armor except for the feet. So part of that doesn't actually carry over to what we saw from Chapter 9 because he had the little cape. Cobb Vanth wasn't wearing that cape. You know what I mean?
Right.
And the lower half of the costume would have been inconsistent with Boba Fett. If we would have saw Cobb Vanth's lower half, nobody would have known what was what. So
yeah.
I still think that was Boba Fett, and he seems to be tracking Mando a little bit because every time Mando does something on Tatooine, we see Boba at the end of it.
Right. Yeah, so, because one of the things was, as a hardcore Boba Fett fan, I was like, oh man, they messed up the cape. Because the cape was so low to the ground.
Yeah.
But it is consistent with what he was wearing at the end of last week's episode.
Yeah, well, and I feel like the cape wouldn't have been what it was meant to be had it been at its actual height. You know what I mean? That it would have, if it hadn't been down to the ground almost, that we wouldn't have seen it at all.
Right.
It wouldn't have been a clue.
Yeah. Well, yeah, the spurs and the sound interference sound, I was like, oh, I know what that is.
Yeah. But anyway, back to what we were talking about.
But I really enjoyed it, and I like going back to the cantina, and I like the character of Peli Motto. That's the lady from Raising Hope. I can't Amy Sedaris or something like that is her real name.
She's one of those people that you recognize by sight, but it hasn't come up enough for me to keep her name registered.
Yeah. But I really liked. I like that character. A lot of people don't like it. Don't like her, but I liked it. Like seeing her again. Going back to the cantina, seeing the cantina have a little bit more life was very cool, because I know in the first season there was like no life at all, and I was kind of like, oh, like it was cool to see it have no life, and the consequences of Java being gone. But I did like seeing some more people in there. There was one character in there that I could not remember. It really stood out to me, and I even mentioned it when we were watching it earlier, but I can't remember who it was.
It's the guy. He looks kind of like that one with the straw mouth. But you said from Rogue One. I didn't know the name.
Oh, yeah. Moroff, I thought was in there, or at least someone of his species. In Rogue One, Moroff is the character that works for Saw Gerrera that looks like a giant Yeti. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
If you go to, of course, it's the scene after he's in the desert.
If I'm not mistaken, there was one in the cantina in A New Hope.
What? There's the character that's Muftak, the with a long nose. I'm talking about.
You're talking about the tall white one, yeah.
Yeah, he's got like a weird mouthpiece.
Yeah, it looks like he almost has like a crazy straw coming out of his mouth.
No,
not like a curly one, but like a little short one.
Yeah. You're talking about that's Muftak.
Okay.
He's I can't remember the name of the species.
There's this. Is it the same species that that Pantoran senator?
Yeah, that's in Clone Wars. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm talking about, if you go to 6 minutes of this episode, it's that guy right there.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I can definitely see the differences now. It was moving fast enough that.
Yeah. But yeah, that's Muftak. Not Muftak. Looks like Moroff, and it's very cool that if that is him. And he did survive the events of Rogue One throughout the rest of the Empire's reign. I like that his fur is like so dirty in this episode.
Mm-hmm. Well, it would be consistent with having either lived on that planet with Saw Gerrera and then lived on
Tatooine.
On Tatooine.
Yeah, very similar environments. Yeah. I'm surprised nobody's really mentioned that, because as soon as I saw that, I was like, oh, look, there's Moroff.
Mm-hmm. I mean, maybe it's not as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but the same species.
Yeah, and that's very... I believe this episode was written by Jon Favreau. That's a very Jon Favreau, Dave Filoni thing to do. Obviously, Dave had his...
Was it written by Jon?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, really? I thought it was Dave Filoni.
Because I seem to remember it having said written by Jon Favreau, created by Jon Favreau.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. I mean, you can double check me. You've got it in your hand.
I'm just looking real quick. But the moment where he beats up those guys in the desert... I know that I was listening to one review, and the person was like, it's not good for the child to see him swindling somebody. They don't want to see him being dishonest.
It doesn't count as swindling if you swindle a swindler.
Yeah, it also doesn't count as swindling if someone has your child with a knife to their throat.
Yeah, if anybody threatens, like, I don't have kids, but I've got nephews. If somebody were to threaten one of my nephews at knife point, anything I say to them may very potentially be a lie.
Yeah, I'm going to swindle you to death if you touch my kids. So I wasn't bugged about that. Directed by Peyton Reed. I don't know who that is.
Was it written by John?
Yes.
Okay. But yeah, so that's a very John thing. Like I said, Dave Filoni made another cameo in this episode as a New Republic X-Wing pilot.
Yeah.
Kind of like Space Sheriff, I guess. State Trooper?
He is the director for Ant-Man and its sequel, Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Oh, I wonder if he's friends with Taika
Waititi? Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
Because they would have worked probably similar offices,
Right.
With him taking over Thor Ragnarok. And those are more similar genres within the Marvel Cinematic Universe, I think.
A little bit more comedic.
Yeah, Ant-Man's a little bit sillier.
Yeah. The species you were thinking of is called the Tals. Mm-hmm. Not a southern way of saying towels, but Talz, Tals. But that was very cool seeing him back in the bar, and again seeing our curly-headed friend playing Sabak with. I really think that was a Killick, which is very, very cool. That's not a species a lot of people would know.
Mm-hmm. Well, like I said, that's very Dave, very John.
Yeah,
that they're doing these little Easter eggs, and it's cool because so much of the rest of the episode is involved in really isolated environments that they really seized that opportunity while they could.
Right,
especially on Tatooine, where typically you have a more diverse mixture of creatures. Just because it's the outskirts, it's the dregs. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's the perfect scenario because you can put anyone and everyone in that bar, and nobody's going to bat an eye.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you were in the Senate on Coruscant and like frickin' if Moroff were to walk in there, you'd be like, hey, what are you doing here? You're kind of a
If you see that guy at 500 Republica, you're probably calling the little robot police. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. But anybody can walk into the cantina and they're slightly out of place.
Even robots now, apparently.
Yeah. Well, that's because I'm sure that...
Even the droids.
Homeboy is dead.
R.I.P.
Yeah. It's really sad because my understanding is that the backstory of that is his family had been killed by battle droids during the Clone Wars, and that's why he was so anti-droid.
Ironic.
Yeah.
That movement would be reversed in The Mandalorian.
What do you mean?
Who hates droids because his parents would have been killed by
battle like
droids.
Used again?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they had that thing, like a bonding moment.
Yeah.
Your parents killed by CIS? Mine too.
You walk in and Woo Her's like, hey, droids? Yeah, me too.
Takes one to know one.
We're best friends. We're the same.
Civil War orphan?
Yeah. Nux.
They got there's a club. They've got tattoos.
Oh my God, so funny. But it was pretty good. I know that it wasn't...
He's got an orphan signet on his shoulder piece.
Oh my God. I know that it's just like... It's just a kid like this. But I know that it wasn't...
You see a kid between the aisles in Walmart?
Yeah.
That's when I felt like an orphan.
Yeah, I got lost at Randall's one time. Mom. And it was wild. I really started to think... I remember being like 4 or 5 and thinking, well, this is it. I'm going to figure out life by myself. I guess I'll stay in the store. Just eat here.
Just get a job picking oranges somewhere, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. But overall, the episode was pretty good. I know that it wasn't as action-packed as episode 1, but these are the moments that you see a lot more close-up character development. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. If every episode is like episode 1, it just becomes a Clone Wars cartoon but it's just a random clone trooper. The moments that you really love Rex 4 or 5s or those characters are the slower moments where you get to see their character. If everything's super action-packed and there's a crate dragon every episode, 1, it inflates the value of big scenes like that.
Right.
And 2, you never get to have the up-close character development. Seeing how much he cared for the child, seeing how much he was willing to barter for the child, seeing how he was like instantly going to give up anything, for the child was very cool. Seeing... It's crazy because I know that part of it is his honor as a Mandalorian to find Baby Yoda's kind, whether that be other Yodelings or other Jedi. Either one, part of it is for his honor as a Mandalorian, but part of it is because he really does care for the child. And he literally says, if you touch that child, there is nowhere you can run that I will not find you.
Yeah.
That was very cool. And so I liked it overall. I thought that it was very interesting. I thought that I think it did build some character. This will be an episode that we'll look back on in 3 or 4 episodes or next season and go, oh, stuff was happening.
Yeah.
There was moments from episode 5 where he trades the binoculars to the Sand People, and people the next week were like, yeah, that was stupid. I didn't like that episode. But then in season 2, episode 1, chapter 9 last week, they're looking at the Krayt Dragon and they're using those binoculars. Mm-hmm. And so there was trust there, right? Yeah. As he's driving towards Mos Pelgo looking for the Mandalorian, he's like, time to settle down for the night. Need a safe place for me and my kid. Oh, good. Here's some Tuskens I can trust. Right. You know what I mean? Those are character building moments that really, enshrine him to the people around him that they're helping. The Frog Lady was cool. Again, sometimes a little too earthy for me with the way her eyes looked and stuff. But very cool. I did think it was pretty savage of Baby Yoda to be eating the entire hopes of her future species.
He doesn't care. As one of 3, I think he doesn't really care about somebody else's species dying out. You know what I mean? Like,
oh yeah,
he's like, they'll make it.
What did you think about those spiders?
Yeah, my arachnophobia was on high alert.
Because I know that you hate spiders. So those are called Krykna.
They're called, you should shoot them as soon as you see them because spiders suck.
I knew that you identified with him just like burning those things.
Oh, yeah.
Were any of the parts of that episode like super reminiscent of The Mist from back in the day?
Yeah, like the 18,000 spiders.
The way that the spiders moved and like the way that you could kill them with fire.
I was channeling my inner Grinch when he was lighting those bad boys on fire, when he's just like, burn, baby, burn. I was like, light them up, light that place up, burn down the Razor Crest. I don't care.
Yeah,
who needs it?
Lock yourself in the cockpit and just burn down the rest. That's really funny.
Who cares?
Dude, the poor crest, man.
Dude, it got the shaft this episode.
I feel like there's a decent chance that he might end up being switching ships before the whole series is over.
No, I doubt it. No. Well, because we look at episode 6, like, the crest has advantages. You know what I mean?
Mm. Yeah, that's true.
For what he does.
Just gets beat the crap up so often.
Yeah, but, it's got character.
Yeah. It's old.
Yeah.
It's old, too.
Well, and they make fun of it for being old.
Yeah. But the Falcon's old.
Yeah, the Falcon's old.
And, God, by the time Luke is on Octo, that X-Wing, man. The X-Wings were already not the cream of the crop when they were fighting the Empire.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, it's cool because Luke's would have been retrofitted if they would have stuck with anything from Legends. I don't know. It seems like there's enough carryover from Legends for Luke that I think that would have been the case. Because I guess, like, the fact that he used that to get out to the Jedi Temple would have meant that they would have carried over the fact that it would have been his ship for life, basically.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, when you're Luke Skywalker and you destroy the first Death Star, I think they just give you the ship that you want.
Yeah.
It's funny because imagine being, even someone like Wedge, who's been there for forever.
There are many like it, but this one is mine.
Yeah.
It has a barber pole attached to it. I'm Luke Skywalker.
Imagine being, someone like Wedge who's been in the fight for a little bit, or Hera, and then Luke comes in, blows up the Death Star, and they're like, whatever you want, Luke. You want a vacation? Sure, whatever you need. They're like throwing women at him.
That's my car delivered, hello. You want discharged from the army? No problem.
Yeah. Well, see ya.
Yeah, the fact that he's just like, all right, no problem.
Yeah.
Come back anytime.
I gotta leave, General.
Go get your shift covered. He's so chill about it.
Whole flight. I think some of those people, he's like, all right, well, I think with Han, he knows he can't keep him there. You know what
I mean, like, what's the point of even trying? Also, I guess you don't want to burn a relationship, because if you try to lock him down, the tighter he grips Han Solo, the more Han Solo slips through his fingers.
That's right. You know how it works.
Yeah.
Okay, so standout moment for you. Did anything specific really stand out to you?
This is going to be really stupid, but the fact that they used the term "idiot's array" when she was playing Sabacc, I just thought that was so cool.
That was really cool.
That was the part, I think, maybe of everything that got me the most excited. That or the time when the X-Wing pilot shot up all those spiders. I was pretty there for that.
Hey, I was impressed with their marksmanship.
They were using judicious marksmanship.
They were like, pa-ching, 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 judicious marksmanship.
Judicious marksmanship.
It was cool because those are also the blasters that you see the Rebellion using on Endor. Mm-hmm. So it's just cool that they kept those.
In Battlefront 2.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, very true. I did think it was funny whenever it was like...
when they were freaking lighting them up, I was like, Nom Carver?
Samuel was like, is that Nom Carver? And I knew it wasn't Nom
they didn't throw enough thermal detonators.
Yeah. Dude, those spiders would have been dead, and they would have just been teabagging those spiders, throwing grenades on their bodies.
Still shooting the dead bodies. That's how I knew it wasn't Nom Carver. They weren't shooting the dead spiders. They were still shooting the live ones.
And they're kind of sassy. Mandalorian, they finally tell him, no big deal. Okay, well, you can get out of here. And he's like, how about we forego the bounties and you help me, fix up the ship? And they're like, how about
these nuts?
Yeah, he's like, how about we forgo putting you in prison, cowboy? And then they both leave.
Yeah, they're like, I'm not here to do the heavy lifting. I'm just here to shoot things from my cockpit, a la Anakin Skywalker, and then take off.
And then they freaking
Qui-Gon said not to leave the cockpit, and Dave Filoni didn't.
That's what we're gonna do.
They stayed in the cockpit.
And they fly out of that cave that Ice Age took place in.
You see the daggone exaggerated slots on the wall. That's funny.
Yeah, that was pretty crazy.
How did Frog Lady know where the hot springs was? That's what I would like to know.
I don't know. Maybe she had a sense.
I don't know. I did like the joke I made about her needing to sit on a heat rock for a while because she's cold-blooded. Yeah, she probably would have, realistically, I don't know. If we want to, I don't know how much
It would have been funny if...
amphibious anatomy they want to carry through, but she would have frozen to death a long time ago.
It would have been really funny if he was like, oh man, where'd she go? And she was just frozen like 3 feet outside of the crest.
She took like 3 steps. She's blue now.
Yeah, because like when, what is it? It's an exothermic. An exothermic animal, like their energy and what they can do is very limited. Yeah. I remember when we were playing disc golf, not this past New Year's, but the New Year's before. And
at Shawshank.
Yeah, and we walked over and we literally stepped directly over a huge water moccasin.
Yeah. And
that snake was like...
I think about that all the time.
Dude, we were very fortunate because we could have been in the hospital.
I was less worried about us, more worried about like the coarse dog. I was like, no, Brooks, no, get away.
Yeah, that dog was like, what's this? But that snake was like, I promise. Dude, it was the slowest strike.
I felt like I was watching Animal Planet and they'd like slowed it down.
Dude, I know. And then I got all bold and was like, let's throw crap at that snake.
And I was like, I feel like this isn't a good idea. Freaking nerd. I was pushing my glasses further up my nose.
What if the snake was like, gotcha?
Yeah. Man. It was all a feint.
Standout moment. So for you, the Idiot's Array, that was very cool. For me, there's not really a huge one. I mean, anytime you see something that starts off as drawn or animated art and makes its way onto the big screen. This is the big screen at the time. We are locked down permanently, apparently. But, dude, those freaking those spiders. What's so cool is something we talked about in this week's episode that's going to air on Monday is that we loved that there was so much, I don't know if I ever specifically mentioned it, but I love how Dave Filoni used so much of Ralph McQuarrie's artwork in Rebels. The Rebel Trooper or those spiders or, just stuff like that is straight out of concept stuff. The troop transport, stuff like that from toys from back in the 70s. So these spiders, I think, were stuff that were drawn for Dagobah. When Ralph McQuarrie was doing concept art for
no thanks.
Yucky and scary creatures that Luke would encounter.
That is yucky and scary.
Exactly. And so then, of course,
Dave
Filoni pulls it into Rebels.
Yuckiest and scariest. Freaking hate spiders, dog.
Dude, so they brought those out on Chopper Base during Star Wars Rebels, and then now they're brought to real life. And man, that freaking huge, that mama spider was disgusting.
Yeah.
Nothing's worse than when you kill a huge spider and you feel accomplished, and then 600,000 smaller spiders come out. And
remember
the
that
smaller
time we were in the backyard?
Oh, yeah.
That mama spider and the 18,000 baby spiders?
Dude, the smaller spiders are almost more overwhelming because you feel like
they go in every direction.
Yeah. Yeah. Ugh. In my old age, as soon as I kill it, as soon as I see any of the little spiders, I just put my foot on the ground and just scrape across. And I just hope I massacre them. Standout moment for me, seeing the spiders from artwork, and then also seeing the different characters in the bar.
You were pretty on that from the get, though. The spiders thing. Before we even saw spider eggs, you were like, spiders maybe?
Yeah, well, I was thinking about that from the trailer, and some people, different people I talked to, were like, "Oh, it looks like a spider," and I said in the group chat, "Those look like the spiders from Chopper Base," and one of my friends was like, "Yeah, but typically Star Wars, if something's on a specific planet, they stay on that planet," and I was like, "Ever heard of an off-world Jawas?" So they're like, "You know what? Good point." Like, so I was thinking, dude, if anyone's gonna do that crap, Dave Filoni's gonna do it.
Yeah.
And so
maybe they're transported there by the Loth Wolves, which can teleport.
Instant transmission?
Question mark. I still need more on that.
I think standout moment is just when I saw a few of those things: the Idiot's Array, seeing the spiders, seeing a Moroff character, seeing that Killick. That was real Star Wars right there. Seeing a human playing Sabacc with the Killick.
Yeah.
That was really, really cool. Yeah. Every time I see Boba Fett's helmet on that speeder, I'm happy that we called that all those weeks ago.
I was skeptical, but you were right.
But not a huge big moment that stood out that was so crazy.
Yeah.
I was stressed to the max whenever they were just overrunning the Razor Crest.
I was stressed when Mando was having to chase the child about those frog eggs. I was stressed to the max about that. And then the spiders definitely capped it.
I was stressed that she was going to take him to these Mandalorians, and basically the fee is you take me and these eggs get to my husband so we can.
The fee was that he traveled to sublight.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
what the fee
exactly.
is.
So I was
They were
worried.
having to leapfrog all the way to their destination.
I was worried that they would get halfway there and all the eggs would have been eaten and she'd be like, and she would quit or kill herself or whatever, and then, she was really stressed.
Yeah. Well, what was cool is that
standout
she
moment-
wasn't just useless. She apparently had some technical prowess. I think that's going to come up.
You think so?
Mm-hmm.
One thing that was a standout moment for me was her using the droid Zero's
vocabulator?
vocoder or whatever.
Vocabulator.
To talk to the Mandalorian.
Yeah, that's
that
cool.
was very cool. That was very, very cool. I didn't really care for the frog speak. It was a little bit too much.
Part of real Star Wars life, man.
Yeah, is what
when
it
you
is.
speak every language in the galaxy, that's why you tolerate C-3PO, bro.
Yeah, that's true. 4 million forms of communication. So segment 3,
I believe
new
it's 6 million,
characters.
actually.
Is it 6?
Fluent and over 6 million.
I wonder if
forms
it
of
changes.
communication. I don't think it does.
No. New characters or returning characters that stood out. Obviously.
Yeah, there don't seem to be any new characters of note other than Frog Lady.
Yeah. Well, Curly Hair Lady came back. Frog Lady was very cool. And then again, seeing all those species in the
It is 6 million.
6. Good job. Yeah. It is really cool to see those species in the cantina.
Yeah.
But nothing that was.
No new character that blew my mind.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, like last episode we had Cobb Vanth. That was.
Yeah,
that
there was not a
peak new
Cobb
character.
Vanth or Boba Fett character that
Yeah,
came
that
out.
was peak new character.
So that kind of really just blows through part 3.
Just skip right over.
Rate it 1 through 10. So 1.
I'm gonna give it 6 for story value, but I'm gonna give it also an 8 for little nuggets of Star Wars beauty. So I'm gonna round that out at a 7.
Yeah, I would
7
like to say
overall
the
for
same
me.
thing. 6 for what it contributes to the story so far. We may come back
At this point, yeah.
and say something else. And I would say 8 just for the episode was fun. So very Last Jedi episode where it was like, well, to the overall story, this kind of makes me frustrated. But to the movie itself, The Last Jedi is fun to watch by itself, just its own movie. And that's kind of how I felt about this episode. I was so hyped on Tuskens and Boba and Cobb Vanth and Suka and, the Great Pearl and stuff like that. And then I was thinking, I really didn't think that we were going to spend so much time with this frog lady. And there was so much mention of other Mandalorians that I was like, here we go.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think.
But maybe seeing Boba and then Sabine or Ahsoka back-to-back episodes, we would just die.
Yeah, I think what's going to happen is that I think she's going to end up being very important. We were kind of discussing, our Chiss Ascendancy group chat, what we, felt like this was going to turn into. And I'm going to stand by, I feel like, in the future, my statement that nothing goes to waste under the watchful eye of John and Dave.
Oh, yeah, not at all.
Because even episode 6, which to me was the least of these for season 1, revisited, and now it's making important impact in the story that now he's on the New Republic radar, but he's kind of getting a pass because of how he behaved himself, and I think that his going over above and beyond on behalf of the Frog Lady, that's gonna cash in later on. I think she's going to be important. I think there's going to be a point in at least one of the next 2 episodes where her technical skill comes to save the day, more than just to use a vocabulator. I don't know. I think it'll lay the groundwork, and it's going to make a lot of sense next week.
Yeah. I think it's very interesting because in Legends material, the Death Watch were strictly bad. And I know that they've kind of undone that a little bit in canon. But you had basically what were called Mandalorian protectors. And they were for hire, but if, there were a good chunk of good eggs in that basket that they were just kind
Tasty
to...
eggs, I'm sure.
Yeah. They were you just suck them in whole like freaking Baby Yoda.
Deviled eggs.
He was sucking those eggs in, like when you go play putt-putt and you don't have enough tickets for anything good, but you get those things with the fish in the middle and they just right out of your hand. He was just standing there.
He's gobbling those babies down, bro.
It was almost like 90s
It looked like
green screen because it was like in his hand. Now it's in his mouth. Like there was no like He was just. It was just in his mouth. But
it's almost like it was a peep. It just evaporated as soon as it hit his
oh
mouth.
yeah.
Like it was like candy ball or something.
Yeah, you ever seen that video of a raccoon that has a handful of cotton candy and he goes to wash
and
it in
he
the river?
disappears and he's panicking.
He's like, no.
Oh, I freaking love raccoons, dude. They're
That's
so funny.
But I'll give it a 7. Not because I thought that it was fantastic, but I did enjoy the episode, and I feel like it has potential to contribute to later episodes and to move the story along.
Yeah.
And I did think Mandalorian realizing I do have to stand by my word was a big deal.
Yeah, I think it was a cool... The revisitations in his character are very subtle. You know, because...
And maybe Baby Yoda, the child, has a moment in here where he's starting to realize when Mando tells me not to do something or to do something, it's not to be a stick in the mud, it's to keep me safe, you know? Yeah. When he was like, hey, don't wander off. And next thing you know, we're getting attacked by freaking spiders.
Yeah, maybe.
Who knows?
Yeah.
How much he understands or doesn't understand is just so up in the wind.
I feel like it's more instinctual than anything. You know what I mean? But yeah, so like I said at the beginning of the episode, chapter 10, I mean, he has that revisitation of his like more callous nature where he, you know, double crosses the small creature and which I was like, do it, shoot him so hard in the back of the head. You know, I was rooting for it.
It was even better than that. He just took him all the way up in the air.
It was even more vengeful. It's the way I would have done it if I were in control. Like in Red Dead, I look for the most creative ways to kill people that piss me off.
Also, what
like
did
even
that
if it
guy...
takes like extra long.
Yeah.
It's about the art of it.
What did that guy think that was going to happen? You have a Mandalorian who's
and he dropped his knife like his only weapon.
Yeah, he's a walking tank, right? He's got like impenetrable armor. He's got like 35 weapons on this arm. He's got a flamethrower on this arm or vice versa. He's got a pistol. He's got his rifle. He's already taken the other people out. So no one's holding his gun from him.
Yeah.
And you throw down your shank and you take off running on foot with a heavy jetpack in your hand. What was the goal here?
I don't know. Honestly.
And how far was he from the nearest town?
I was even more vengeful, though, after he had drop-killed that, you know, the little guy. I was like, all right, now shoot the rest of them right in the head. You know, like, I was killed the whole 10, you know, because they're going to chase him.
Yeah, my thought was they'd wake up. They're like, they're not going to wake up if you kill them.
Right?
Yeah, I thought the same thing.
Let them have a little dirt nap.
Yeah, permanently. Sleeping with the sandfishes. With the crate dragons. But yeah, I'll give it a 7. 6 for continuity to the story, like, you know, contributing to the story, but 8 for action. I did enjoy that. And I was drawn in.
Well, and it felt like a slower episode, but I was also very tense for pretty much the whole episode.
Yeah. The story within the episode itself was very good, I thought. It was a cool change of location.
Yeah, I think there was enough imminent danger throughout the episode to keep it exciting.
My main beef with Rebels when it first came out was like, are we just going to get off the Thal? Or are we just going to sit here for frickin' forever?
Yeah.
I wanted to get off the Thal so bad.
Now you know how everybody who's not a pilot feels in Star Wars.
Yeah, basically.
Their whole life.
It's crazy because once we got off Lothal and we started really dealing with the Empire, and that's when we met Ahsoka, and that's when Maul's entered the ring and stuff, and I was like, see, this is the potential. We could have got off Lothal earlier. And so I know that Tatooine is where the fun is for me because of Boba, but I did enjoy a new type of location. Were we anywhere like an ice planet in season 1? They were episode 1.
The very first planet.
Very, very, very beginning.
Yeah. It's
but
like
other
a
than
frozen
that,
tundra.
I don't think so. He's on Grief Karga's planet, then he goes to the Kuiil's planet, then he's back on Grief Karga's planet, then he's on the forest where the Klatooinian Raiders are with that stolen AT-ST, Tatooine, prison, back to Grief Karga, still with Grief Karga.
Arguably, space is like a Hoth-like planet because you would instantly freeze to death.
Right.
And your blood would boil and your body would disincorporate.
You know what I mean.
But yes.
One of these days we're going to be old men and we're going to look through these episodes and we're going to laugh at how many times you mentioned how you would die in space.
You know what? Because it's an imminent danger. It's always there. Space death.
Did you hear the Mandalorian try to make a space joke today? He was like, I'm going to take a nap. Wake me up if someone starts shooting at us. Yeah. Or if that door flies off.
Just kidding.
Just kidding. We would die.
See, Mando gets it. You would die.
Yeah, you told me.
Yeah.
I'm staying on the ground. Don't worry.
I think that's my biggest bone to pick with the way Leia survived. Because force or no force, she's donezo. Like, I'm going to give her 15 seconds max.
Do you remember when Kanan survived being in space?
Don't even get me started on Kanan in space. There's a staple gun lightsaber.
No, that's Ezra's.
I don't care. I'm mad at both of them.
Don't y'all think at home, if you're listening or watching this, don't you think that Obi-Wan Kenobi would reprimand Ezra Bridger for his lightsaber? Like, when he shows Luke his lightsaber for the first time, he's like, it's a more elegant weapon for a more civilized time. You know, he's talking crap about blasters. When he has to kill Grievous with the blaster in episode 3, he instantly is like, ugh, and like throws it on the ground.
Pulls out his little wet wipe.
Yeah. Sharona from Monk walks up with a wipe, and he's like, ugh. Freaking Ezra's like, hey, I'm gonna have the most graceful, elegant, powerful weapon in the history of the galaxy, and if that doesn't work, I'll shoot a ping pong ball at you.
Hate it to death.
What's next? Where do you expect to go from here?
I didn't expect you to say that you rated it a 7 again after you rated it a 7, so I kind of moved on to it. So
go ahead.
I kind of already said my thoughts on it. Like, I think Frog Lady's going to be important.
Oh, okay.
I think they...
Well, where do you think the story goes from here? Do you think that...
Well, they got to finish their limp to whatever
they got to go
they're going to.
Krask or whatever it is?
Yeah.
Where her husband is?
Yeah.
Seems to be a watery planet, which makes sense because she's amphibian.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be funny if they get there and Baby Yoda's like, like just likes it.
Right. No, I think that makes sense, and it's interesting... Like how much land there might be, because they said it's the only planet that's still hospitable to their species. So,
yeah, what if it's a ton of water?
Yeah, it's gonna be somewhere where they're gonna be super comfortable.
Well, if you watch the trailer, there's the moment where it looks like
they're at the docks.
Yeah, and if you watch the trailer, the lady with the frog backpack is in front of them at the docks, and that is the place. If it's the same area, the way they paint it and the buildings and stuff do look like that. Sasha Banks' character, whoever that is, we think it's Sabine. Mm-hmm. So we may be close to not just other Mandalorians, but...
What if it's Ahsoka in human face?
Ooh, not a fan. Not a fan of that. Yeah, so I think we may end up meeting Sabine or Bo-Katan next episode, possibly.
Would that be specially insensitive?
Specially, yeah. Speciesist. I guess technically that could still be racist because we're a human race. But I guess xenophobic is the term, probably. But yeah, I would say that there's a decent chance. And you got to realize, I think that's one of the reasons. So we had a really crazy action-packed episode that was just as much about Cobb and Boba Fett as it was the Mandalorian last episode. Mm-hmm. And then you have a slower one that builds the character. You get a lot of time with the child this episode.
Yeah. I also like that they're traveling so slowly as to give Boba Fett time to catch up with them if that's where they're moving with it.
Mm-hmm. And then you have next episode maybe not as much action, but there's going to be a
Boba
lot
Fett
of...
kill Sabine.
Oh man, I would give so much to see that. I like Sabine as much as the next person, but Boba Fett is the man.
I'm kind of irritated with how she's always spray painting stuff. Like that's so much of her identity. It's kind of obnoxious to me.
Yeah, I mean, she needs to figure out who she is on the inside. Because, man, what if your hands get cut off? What are you going to do then? What if you had to paint with your mouth? Like that one chick that dove into the shallow end of a lake. Remember that movie?
The one with she was a female boxer?
I don't remember. There's a movie that we had like on VHS when we were little, and this girl dove headfirst into a lake, and Mom saw that movie, and it crippled her as well for life. Never dove anywhere else again.
Yeah, anytime we go to the lake, Mom would be like, make sure there's no logs there. And I was like, Donna, this is Lake Houston. You can't see 6 inches under the surface. I'm just going to keep my fingers crossed.
I almost died.
I'm going to keep my fingers crossed, and I'm going to go down there.
But, I thought that the child had a big role in this episode. Mm-hmm. A lot of it was comedy, but he is communicating better. If you notice, there's that one moment where Mando's trying to weld that side of the Razor Crest, and he does the whole Lassie thing because he can't talk. So he's like, and he, Mandalorian's like, hey, get over here. And he's like, and that's when he finds out that, Frog Lady walked off with her eggs. I like
that layer of frost was gradually getting thicker on Mando's armor.
Yeah, that was very cool. This is just kind of a silly thing, but why would the Frog Lady not, as they're leaving, pour out her old water and put in some of that hot springs water to keep her eggs nice and cooked?
I don't know why frogs do what they do.
Never talked to a frog before. Yeah, that was so crazy when she was running, huh? I was kind of weirded out a little bit.
I had never liked her more up until that point.
What if they paid someone to just... Someone signed up to be on the cast of The Mandalorian, and they're like, do you have any special skills? And it's like, I can run like a frog really well. And Dave Filoni was like, we'll take it.
That reminds me of those...
we bring him in.
Those fake horse competitions. Have you seen those? They're riding those pole horses.
Those freaking weirdos.
Jumping over little hurdles and crap like that. I could watch that for 6 hours straight. I think that is the funniest thing in the world.
Yeah. Or you have those really weird couples that, like, one person's a human, the other person is a fake horse.
Oh, my God.
And they have a bit in their mouth.
I can't believe that there's enough people in the world that there could be a gathering of them.
Oh, yeah.
That's crazy to me.
Oh,
it's crazy to me that, I don't know, it just seems so niche. That, like, maybe 3 or 4, but
no.
60? 100?
Yeah. And think about that's in one space.
And it's televised somehow? Somebody is willing to accept any amount of money to photograph it?
It's on ESPN 8, the Ocho. Oh, wow, look at that gallop.
You couldn't pay me enough money to commentate on that and not make fun of them the entire time.
Oh, I was going to say, yeah, I would just go for it.
I would do it for free if I got to say whatever I want. But if I had to be serious...
Dude, what if we...
There better be 3 commas in that paycheck.
What if 3? Dadgum.
My standards are high. They're very high.
We entered the competition just to take a huge poop on the field. Right?
As the horse?
Yeah. You just lean forward and you just take a, this episode's going south fast, but that would be funny. But next week I expect us to meet some other Mandalorians, if that is who Sasha Banks' character is.
I would like to see Jon Favreau's character make a re-entry. I was a big fan of the...
Paz Vizsla?
Yeah.
The heavy infantry Mandalorian?
I was a big fan of the thick boy.
Big boy Mando. Yeah. We got to represent the rest of us.
We know he survived. He gave him the old salute.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, and maybe not, because then the purge...
Yeah, but if you look at that, the character, or the Mandalorians that Moff Gideon and the Imperials apparently went in there and killed, if you look at the stack of helmets that they leave to kind of send Mando a message, his is not in the bunch.
Could be on the bottom. There were a lot of helmets there.
Nope. He made it. He's too cool not to make it. Yeah, he's a very cool character.
He's a cool character. I'm a fan of anything Jon Favreau does. I like Happy and all the Marvel films. I'm a big fan.
I do like how heavy infantry Mandalorian's helmet is very like... I don't know. I like the individuality of the helmets that we see as we go down there.
I just like how committed he is.
Oh, yeah. He's a fan. He's a fan of the way.
I'm a big fan of the hardcore individual. Mm-hmm. But anyway, we're going longer than we projected.
Yeah, no worries. But yeah, this is very fun. This is something that I was kind of, not that you didn't want to do it, but I was kind of pressuring a little bit to try to do this because
there's a gun under the table. Help. It's those shotguns. You ever see Buster Scruggs? There's the banker, who's also the voice of the banker in Rango. Mm-hmm. He's just got those 3 shotguns lined up in case of that's what's going on down here.
But yeah, so thanks you guys for tuning in. And if you guys have any questions for the show, feel free still to message those to us, whether it's about random stuff or specifically this week's episode of Mandalorian. And if you want to give your rating or things like that, feel free to sound off in the comments. And I guess we won't do you want to do our regular sign-off, or you want to save that for the saga films?
I feel like that should be, like, we shouldn't say, I've got a bad feeling, you know what I mean? I already felt a little apprehensive about doing our regular sign-on.
Yeah.
So, in the meantime, keep on keeping on, and,
We'll have to find a Mandalorian sound of some... this is the way or something, and we'll put that in there. But thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll catch you next week on chapter 11 of The Mandalorian. Yeah. And we'll catch you guys then.
Yeah, and then,
next time.
Bye.